Hello, everyone. Welcome to Redskins Talk TV. This is your host, Andre. Just want to talk about the Week 12 matchup with the San Francisco 49ers coming to FedEx Field to play our Washington Redskins. And I just want to give my pregame analysis about the keys to success. Now, not much to say about special teams. Both teams are equal when it comes to special teams. I think the 49ers have a slight edge on us, but at the same time, I don't really foresee them breaking any long plays that are going to get them into a better field position. Past couple weeks, we've been actually doing pretty well with the field position. We just need for Sav Rocca to punt well. You know, a lot of times when he's trying to avoid certain returners, he'll shank the ball. I guess he just gets a little bit overexcited, just hits off the side of his foot. But as long as he can kick the deep ball to the returner, just give it a bit more hang time for our gunners and, you know, our players to get to the returner, I think we'll be able to keep them from getting a lot of yardage. But at the same time, on the kick returns, you know, just solid tackling, everyone just sticking to their side of the field, wrapping a tackle, not overcommitting and things like that. So special teams, I'm pretty comfortable with. Now, when it comes to offense, I say this every week, and I stand by this every week. Get Griffin to move out of the pocket as a stationary target under center. At some point in time during the game, you can rely on either Chris Chester or Will Montgomery to fuck up and end up getting him hit. A lot of times it's also Griffin's fault for holding on to the ball too long, not feeling the pressure from the pocket collapsing, and just tucking the ball and running. But the offensive line, the only one that I'm comfortable with is our left tackle when it comes to Trent Williams. And he's doing a hell of a job this season. I do foresee him going to the Pro Bowl, but the rest of the offensive linemen on the team, they are a liability, especially when it comes to the interior. Lichtensteiger, not so much, but when it comes to Will Montgomery at center, Chris Chester on the right guard, and Tyler Columbus, you don't really hear too much about him, but on occasion he does get beat, especially when the linebackers are stunting or the defensive linemen are stunting. He ends up overcommitting or just getting bullied around. So Robert Griffin III, moving out of the pocket, we do run that read option play, so getting the ball, allowing him to do his thing as far as on his feet, that's going to allow us to get down the field, hopefully be able to convert some third downs and continue the drives to get to the end zone. Is once we get to the red zone, that's when we have to basically buckle up. And then, of course, when it leads to running the ball, feed the ball to Alfred Morris. He's been doing an outstanding job. I'm really looking forward to him doing well. So when it comes to the league, I think he's either second or third when it comes to all running backs. So continue to feed that ball to him. I know the run defense for the 49ers, they rank high up there just like the Redskins do. We're a little bit ahead of them. So they are going to be putting the eighth man in the box. And they may not necessarily have to because they're pretty solid tacklers. And they will gang up on the runners. So just keep feeding them. And as the game progresses, Alfred Morris gets stronger. He does push the pile, so you can always rely on him. Of course, Darrell Young and Roy Helu as the past third down back. I do see us doing a fairly decent job in that aspect. Now, as far as the wide receivers, you know, Leonard Hankerson, he's going to be out, so you can always depend on Pierre Garçon having a decent game. I think it's going to be tough because the corners do play tight at the line of scrimmage. They're not going to give too much as far as a free release, so that's going to require them get into their breaks. Being very shifty, Pierre Garçon being a bigger receiver, he's not going to be muscled around, but at the same time, a couple of the corners for the 49ers are just as big or fairly sizable, so they can match up well. So it's going to be a game of chess between our receivers and their corners. Whether it's Aldrick Robinson or Josh Morgan, Josh Morgan used to play for the 49ers, so as a big receiver himself, I think he's going to be able to, at least if he plays big, plays at his size, I think he can create some mismatches for the corner that's lined up in front of him. And, of course, running some precise routes, you know, making the breaks, running back to the quarterback if things break down just to help out the quarterback. And then I honestly think Aldrick Robinson, number 11, can be the game changer. He had a crucial catch that kept the game close for us with that touchdown that he caught. He's always able to get deep with his plays and work a little bit more on his route running, but as far as getting that separation, he does a really, really good job of that. So I look forward to him doing well. And, of course, Santana Moss in the slot on the other side. I think if they get him more involved, he's going to be able to get open and get some gains. My only concern with Santana Moss is sometimes when he's fighting for yardage, he does bob the ball out. So hopefully, and he has been doing a better job of protecting the ball, but I always worry about when he fights for yardage because if he's easy to strip if he doesn't cover up with both hands. So we'll look forward to that. So that's pretty much our offense, but definitely move Robert Griffin III. Kyle Shanahan, please call a sensible game. I know last week when we had a chance and it was 3rd and 1 and we were close to getting into the red zone, but Robert Griffin III threw that interception that basically killed the drive. It was 3rd and 1. I'm still trying to figure out why the fuck did they decide to pass the ball instead of run it. Because all we had to do is get the first down, clock it. We would have still had a few seconds left. Probably had about 1 or 2 opportunities to try to at least get in the end zone and tie the game, or at least get another score and then hopefully the 2 points. So Kyle Shanahan, when it's sensible, especially when you're in the red zone, drive the ball on the ground. Feed it to Alfred Morris or Darrell Young, or let Robert Griffin III keep it for a quarterback sneak. Anything that's going to allow us to have that opportunity. Also with our offense, at the tight end position, Jordan Reed, he's going to be out with concussion. So it's either going to be Fred Davis. Hopefully they're going to activate him because he's been active for the last couple of weeks. That's the last greatest move that Vinny Serrato had done. And I really like Fred Davis. As long as he's healthy, he can get separation. He's a baller, but who knows? He's going to have to get up to game speed. Also, we have Logan Paulson and Niles Paul. Niles Paul, I think from the 3, Niles Paul is probably going to show more because he's essentially a converted wide receiver. Logan Paulson, he's a much better pass blocker or run blocker, but he also has decent hands. But Niles Paul, I think he can have a big game if he can get that separation, fight off, someone trying to block him, or at least get into coverage so that he can catch the ball. And now let's go over to defense. That's primarily my biggest cause for concern because it seems like every week when we're losing, it's because the defense is not able to get off the field on those 3rd downs, whether it's a 3rd and 14 or something to that effect. Something always happens to where the players on the other team are able to get open. So with this game, it's about the corners playing tight. Now you have D'Angelo Hall. More than likely, he's going to be drawing coverage on Anquan Bolden. Now, with Anquan Bolden, you're not talking about a guy with world-class sprinter speed like an Olympian. When he came out of college, he was running like a 4.640, and that was one of the biggest knocks on him. But his biggest contribution since he's been in the league with the Cardinals, with the Ravens, now with the 49ers, is he can get open. He's got great hands. He can get that separation. So D'Angelo Hall is going to have to stay in his hip pocket and play him, not play Colin Kaepernick, because we already know with the offense for the 49ers, they're going to be running a lot of that that read option just like we do, and that's going to already have our defense discombobulated. But at the same time, just like they practice preparing for it against us, we have Robert Griffin III, so we're prepared for that. It's just that Kaepernick is a very shifty quarterback, so once he gets out of the pocket, it's going to be tough for a lot of our defenders to stay up on him because he's got pretty good speed, just like Griffin does. But also, at the running back position, you have Frank Gore. He's an older running back. He's about 30 years old, but he's great at the cutback, which is something that we've always been weak against. He's not going to be one of those shifty scat back type of runners like a LaShawn McCoy. So in terms of making defenders miss, he's more in terms of bowling you over. So he's not going to be doing all the spin moves, but at the same time, he's able to follow his blockers, running between the tackles and everything. So you can expect for him to have a pretty decent game. If we can limit him, that does improve our chances for success in this game. And also, the biggest concern for me on the offense is Vernon Davis. I'm a huge fan of him because he's from the University of Maryland. I didn't attend college, but I was born and raised in Maryland. So any player coming out of the University of Maryland that plays in the NFL, Torrey Smith for the Baltimore Ravens, I remember Frank Wycheck, the tight end with the Titans. I was just a huge fan of any player that comes out of University of Maryland. But all the same, Vernon Davis, outstanding route runner, can get separation. He can create the mismatches with the safeties as well as the linebackers. So not giving him a free release off the line of scrimmage, and hopefully our corners will not play too soft in terms of giving any type of cushion. So Haslett, please, 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 Jim Haslett, demand that the corners play tight on the receivers pre-snap. Don't give them a free release. Jam them up. Hold them off. Anquan Bolden, he's a big receiver, strong receiver, so D'Angelo Hall has already got his work cut out for him. But all it takes, because everything is with the 49ers is predicated on timing, jam him up just to get a little bit of that delay in the pass route, and that's going to help us. Our pass rush is not going to be the greatest, so I really don't foresee us hitting Kaepernick too often. I really don't see us getting that many sacks on him. If by chance we are able to rush him, and I'm relying primarily on Kerrigan or Rockpo to get in there, mostly Kerrigan. Rockpo, he seems to get ridden on the outside too often. Kerrigan, he does more of a bull rush approach, so he goes straight at the quarterback instead of trying to run around, which, the offensive lineman will end up pushing him and riding him to the outside. So a good swim move by Kerrigan. I think he's going to be the game changer for our defense. All the same, hopefully Merriweather, he won't be doing too much of the head hunting. It's one of those things where you can always expect some sort of dumb penalty, but hopefully Perry Riley, he'll be able to stay in tight coverage, especially if he's got to go into pass coverage against Vernon Davis. That's going to be just an ugly matchup all the same, but I think he's capable of doing it. So that's pretty much how I feel that we can do it. But a lot of what we're going to have to do as far as the success on defense is making sure to keep Colin Kaepernick contained, and of course D'Angelo Hall and whichever defender is covering Vernon Davis. I'm not really all too worried about the other receiver. They've got a great team, but I think our chances are not diminished. Despite our record, I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. If we're able to convert the third downs, and if the crowd stays involved and they can be that 12th man, kind of like with the Seahawks, where their crowd gets really involved, and that really helps with the success for the defense for the Seahawks. Something in a similar situation, but as long as our crowd can stay involved early and often in that game, I think we can do fairly well. But it's going to be a tough game all the same, not taking anything away from the 49ers because they are an outstanding team. But we'll definitely see how things go at Monday Night Football. Anyway, if you like this video, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. And to my Redskins family, hail to the Redskins.